started in just a second with our next speaker. But first, let's talk a little bit about the 5 C's, because I want us all to be set up for success. So here at Rise Up For You, I talk a lot about the 5 C's to being your best self and to really, really moving forward. And, you know, and that's something that I really want to make sure is very clear today, that all of this content that you're getting, all of this information that you're getting, we need to be able to use it and take it away after today. So just out of curiosity, how many of you are familiar with Rise Up For You? And how many of you have seen me before? Just type in the chat. You can even just put a thumbs up if you're familiar with Rise Up For You. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm saying, nope, it's okay if you haven't. New to it. Okay, somewhat, nope, yes, yes. Newbie. I love the newbies. The newbies are great. I thank you if you're familiar with us and you follow our work. That's amazing. And also amazing if you're a first timer and you're a newbie. That's great too. We love that. Fantastic. New, great. Okay, fantastic. Great. I love it. Well, I'll tell you, as you know, I'm the CEO, I'm the founder of Rise Up For You, but I didn't always start that way, right? So the first career I ever had was as a performer. And I used to tour the world internationally and sing and dance. Okay. And that's why I'm so happy to see all the different countries here. I've been all over the world. I've been to Russia. I've been to Lithuania. I've been to Spain. I've been to Dubai and Lebanon and Japan. And I have so many more countries to go to, but it was really something special. And every time I walked into a room as a performer, I always got the center stage spot. Okay. But here's what I want you to know. I was never, ever the best singer, ever, meaning that my technical skill was never the best. There was always 3 or 4 women that can sing me out of the water. And yet I still got that center stage spot. And I used to wonder, why is that? Why am I getting this spot when they have a way better voice than I do? And they used to come up to me and they used to say, you know, how do we stand where you stand? And I used to say, you're actually a better singer. Everything you need is already inside of you. The only difference between you and I is that I believe it when I walk into a room. And so I went on tour for years, I would say about 8 years. And I was still always the #1 performer for the whole entire career. And then interestingly enough, after I got done, I came back to California. So I spent most of my childhood in California, but I'm Lebanese for anyone that can't tell with the hair. Lebanese, spent most of my time in California, and I became an executive. So when I was 27, turning 28, I became an executive of an education corporation. And I saw the exact same challenges happening in the workplace. Amazing professionals that had PhDs, master's degrees, bachelor's, or a ton of certifications were getting in the way of their own success, even though they had all the technical skill that they needed. They were struggling with imposter syndrome, with making the ask, raising their hand in a meeting, self-doubt, the monkey chatter that I like to call in their head. And they were sabotaging their ability to be, I always say, be seen, be heard, and be relevant, right? Even though they had all the technical skills, they were getting in their own way. And so I started to ask myself, why is this happening? How come some people go further in their career than others, but they have the exact same skill? How come some people, they have the same resume, but this company or this organization or this individual goes further faster, but this person has the exact same skills? How many of you have ever thought that? How many of you have thought, I have the same skills, I'm really, really qualified, but I'm not moving forward yet? See, I knew it. The chat, me, yep, yes, right? Every day, right? Definitely a common thought that why does this individual that have the same degree, why are they moving further faster? So I started to do a ton of research. And between being an executive by day and I was a professor at night teaching at a community college, I understood through research and through the work that I was doing that it's no longer just about the technical skills, right? That there's a different layer that helps elevate our success. So I started to think about that. Well, long story short, I was an executive at 27, 28, living my most amazing life. I had a house on the lake, a brand new luxury car, everything that we needed. And I lost it all overnight. Overnight. I lost it all. I went from a high functioning executive to $100. Okay. And I realized, how am I going to move out of this? How many of us have ever been in a position where you're like, how does an educated woman get themselves into a position like this? Right. And you start to ask, yep, I'm seeing, oh, yep. I lost everything overnight. I took a risk for love. I moved out of the country. And within a few weeks, back on a plane, crying, nothing, $100, no job, no career, no nothing. And my father came to me in my dream. I had lost my father a couple years beforehand. And he said, everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to rise up for you. And I love telling this story just for that, just for this piece, rise up for you. And that's the company that I started building. So I came back to California, no money, $100, that's it. No car, no job, no house. And I started building Rise Up For You. And I had no idea what it was. I just knew I'm going to build Rise Up For You. My dad told me in my dream, Rise Up For You. And that's what I'm building. I had no idea how to build the business. I had no idea how to build a website, but I just started building. 3 months later, my second parent, my mother, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I built my company out of a hospital. I took showers at the gym across the street, and I would run back and I would open up a laptop in the hospital and say, how do you build a website? How do you build a podcast? How do you build? And I just started building. And today the company is in over 50 countries. And we have amazing people from around the world that utilize our programming, our content. I'm a 2-time TEDx speaker. You saw the video before I jumped on. All of that was created, not because I had the technical skill or the business degree, but because of one very, very important skill that I want to share with you today. And it's the first C that I'm going to share with you. Okay. So throughout today's program and throughout today's summit, I'm going to share with you 5 C's in between our amazing keynotes and panelists. And the first C, write this down. Okay. Write this down, is crush your limiting beliefs. Crush your limiting beliefs. Last year, my team and I asked over 2,000 people, working professionals, not furloughed, in the companies, in corporations, okay, in business, over 2,000 professionals, what their number one challenge was. 83% said self-confidence. 83%. It is my mission today, along with moving Rise Up For You forward, to change that statistic. Now, it's not your fault, because our whole entire life, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I just came back from Dubai last week, and I did a keynote in Dubai, and we had the same conversation. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, okay? Your whole entire life, you have been taught to build what I call micro-level confidence. And I talk about this in my book, okay? We've been taught to build micro-level confidence. Confidence in a skill, competency, or category, right? So you're confident in coding. I'm confident as a speaker. You're confident with technology and back-end development. You're confident skateboarding, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Okay, we've been taught to build micro-level confidence. You go to school, K through 12, right? You go to school and you build confidence in a subject. I'm confident in math, science, history, you name it. Okay, then you go on to university and college, and then you gain more confidence in a degree, in a subject. Has anyone ever taught us to have self-confidence, self-love, emotional and social intelligence, how to communicate effectively, how to get back up when we fall and we get turned down? Have we ever been taught that? The problem with micro-level confidence is that it is not sustainable because it exists outside of you. And anything that exists outside of you inevitably will and can change. This is what we saw during the pandemic. We had women from around the world and men that were entrepreneurs, executives, you name it, that came to us and said, I lost my job, I lost my title, I'm not making as much money, I lost my business, you fill in the blank. And they said, and I've lost my self-worth and identity. Who am I? Who am I? Because their entire life, our entire life, we have been taught to build self-worth and our identity based off of these things, your job, your title, the money you make, the car you drive, fill in the blank. That's the micro-level confidence. And we have been taught that. And no degree, no nothing can fill in the blank for what I talk about in my book called macro-level confidence. A feeling that you are enough simply because you exist. A feeling that, listen to this, perfectionism prevents you from your potential, okay? Perfectionism prevents you from your potential. Macro level confidence is, if I fail, it's okay because it's research to success. Think about scientists. Scientists spend their whole entire life failing. Maybe, if they're lucky, they find one thing, okay, that they find a hypothesis, an algorithm, a solution, maybe one in their entire lifetime, okay? But they spend most of their career as scientists failing. Yes, and they get paid to fail, Lauren. They get paid to fail, right? Macro level confidence is having self-compassion and realizing that you are human, and by nature, humans are imperfect, and that is perfect in itself. And not stopping yourself from moving forward, even when you make a mistake. Macro level confidence is what we want. So this first C that I am teaching you today, as you continue to listen to these amazing speakers, is having the confidence and crushing the beliefs to have the confidence. So I love empowerment, and I always say this, and now I'm going to give you a strategy, because when you leave today, when you are in your business or when you're in your job next week, I need you to know this strategy so that when that thought comes into your head, you can crush it. Okay, you can crush it. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is we're going to rate our confidence. Okay. Now we're going to rate our confidence, and we're going to do this with self-compassion. And the only reason why I want you to rate your confidence right now is so that you know where you are today. And then I'm going to give you a strategy so that in 1 month, that confidence score that we're going to go through here in a second can climb and increase. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. And my team is going to help us out. They're going to type it in the chat. I want you to rate yourself 1 through 10. Okay. 1 is danger zone. 10 is amazing. I got it. Okay. 1 through 10. So, well, I'm going to give you 6 pillars to confidence. Okay. So write this down, 6 pillars. And I want you to write your score down as you're doing this. Okay. The first pillar is self-talk. Okay. Self-talk is the stuff that's in your mind. Okay. Are you your best friend, or are you constantly putting yourself down? Okay. Keep track of your score. Do you have a lot of negative thoughts about yourself? Okay. Or are you your number one cheerleader? Rate yourself 1 through 10 and write it down, because we're going to add it up at the end. Okay. That's your first pillar. Okay. Self-talk 1 through 10. Write your score down. Remember it, because we're going to add it up at the end. Okay. So I need you to remember your scores as we go along. That's the first pillar. Okay. The second pillar is intuition. You know, that feeling that you get in your stomach that tells you, I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't make that decision, or that doesn't feel good to me, right? Do you ignore that feeling, or do you listen to that feeling, right? Or do you ignore it and then say, oh, I should have listened to my intuition? 1 through 10, okay? 10 being amazing, 1 being non-existent, okay? 1 through 10. Remember your score. That was the second pillar, okay? So first pillar was self-talk, 1 through 10. Second pillar was intuition, 1 through 10. Third pillar, taking risk. Taking risk. I always say it takes just as much energy to play small than it does to play big. Okay. So Are you taking risk, or are you staying in your comfortable space? And I don't just mean taking risk in your career. I mean taking risk in life. Do you communicate? When you feel something in a relationship, do you express yourself? When somebody hurts your feelings, do you have uncomfortable conversations? I classify that as taking risk because it's uncomfortable, right? 1 through 10, okay? 1 through 10 on taking risk. Remember, keep track of your score, okay? Pillar number 4. And this is a tough one for women, self-promotion. Self-promotion. Do you have the ability to stand up in a room of 1,000 people and say, my name is Netalina Nasruddin, and I'm the CEO and founder of Rise Up For You. I'm a 2-time TEDx speaker, #1 best-selling author, and here's what I can bring to your company, and here's what I can bring to you as a professional. Fill in the blank. Okay. Do you have the ability to walk into your boss's office and say, I love working here, and I want you to know that I've added a lot of value. In the last 2 years, these are the results that I've been able to bring. These are the accomplishments I brought to the company, so that you can increase in profits and revenue, so that you can climb up the career ladder. Self-promotion. Okay. So 1 through 10, where are you with that? Okay. Pillar number 5, the hardest pillar for women, and we want to break that, is setting boundaries. Having the capacity and the ability to say, thank you for thinking of me, but I need to say no right now. Thank you for thinking of me, but I am at full capacity. Setting healthy boundaries. The company is called Rise Up For You, because I understand, and I want you to understand, that the only way you can rise up for others, the only way you can be the best professional, the only way you can be the best parent, the only way you can be the best sibling, the best leader, fill in the blank, is if you rise up for you first. And if we don't set healthy boundaries, then you're constantly going to be functioning on a level of 0, and you're going to be drained, and you're going to be exhausted, and you're not going to have any time for you to be the best you can be. You'll have nothing to give, right? Now, I'm speaking from experience. I run my own company. You can ask my team, okay? Except for special occasions like today, okay? For special occasions like today, my team doesn't talk to me before 9 o'clock, and I stop work at 4, 9 to 4, work. Everything outside of that is for me. It's for working out. It's for meditating. It's for yoga. It's for spending time with my family, right? Because I understand that I need to recoup so that I can show up on camera and be the best version of myself for you, because it's not fair for me not to be the best me. Otherwise, you're going to get a watered down version, right? And I don't want that, right? You're showing up today. You're giving me your time. Right? So if you're showing up and you're giving me your time, that means that I need to honor and value that. And the best way I'm going to be able to honor and value that is by being the best me, because now I have the capacity to give to you. Okay. Remember that. Remember that. So 1 through 10 on setting boundaries. And the last pillar is growth mindset. Okay. And Edwina addressed this a little bit earlier, growth mindset. Do you have a mentality that says, I can't learn that, I don't know that? Or do you have a growth mindset that says, I can't, but I'll figure it out? I always say, live after the comma, live after the comma. So many individuals say, I can't, period. No. I can't, comma, but I'll figure it out. I can't, comma, but can I get some mentorship around it so I can learn it? I can't, comma, but that's only a temporary state. Give me a few weeks, I'll research and I'll work my way up so that I can. Okay, so 1 through 10, rate yourself. Now, here's what I want you to do. Now we're going to put the score together, and we're going to do this with compassion. Okay, I don't care if your score is a 10%, it doesn't matter to me. We had 6 pillars: self-talk, right? Intuition, taking risk, self-promotion, setting boundaries, and growth mindset. And you rated 1 through 10. I now want you to add up all those scores, okay? So you should have 6 different scores for each little area. I want you to add up those 6 scores, and I want you to divide it by 60, because the total score is 60. So you might have, for example, let's say 40 points. 40 divided by 60, I believe, is around a 70%. So now put your percentage in the chat. Remember, this is a safe space, okay? So I don't care if your score is a 10%. I don't care if it's a 60%, okay? Just, we're all about learning, growth mindset, okay? So now I want you to take your score and I want you to put it in the chat and I want you to remember your score, because now I'm going to give you a strategy, okay? So that in a month from now, we can go back and we can look at the score and we can see the progress that we had, okay? So go ahead, put it in the chat, tell me where you're at. And I'm looking at your scores as 33%, 79%. That's awesome. Keep going. 38%, 40. And you know, the beautiful thing about this is you can see in the chat, have we seen 100% yet? I don't even think I've seen a 90% yet, right? So the important thing about, and this is why I do it as a community, because I think it's important for you to see, okay? I think it's important for you to see that you are not alone in this, that most of the scores, and I'm looking at these scores coming in, are in the 50%, 50, 40, 30%, okay? And I think it's really important for us to, again, realize that we're not alone, okay? So that was your score. Hold on to this score, okay? Hold on to the score. Now we're gonna do a strategy, okay? And after the strategy, before we bring on our next speaker, I'm gonna do a little bit of coaching. I'm gonna do some live coaching, okay? So I really encourage you, if you want some live coaching, which I encourage you to do, because then other women can see and they can learn, okay? But first I wanna give you a strategy, okay? It's called the 4 B's. The 4 B's to believing in you. The 4 B's to believing in you, okay? So B number 1, and my team is gonna put this in the chat so that you can see it. B number 1 is belief. What is the belief that you have? And is it getting in the way of your success? So what's the limiting belief that you have that's getting in the way of your success? Now, we all have limiting beliefs, all of us, including me, okay? So I just want you to think right now, what's one limiting belief that you have that's getting in the way of where you want to be in life? Just one. It could be, nobody listens to me as a leader because I'm younger than everyone. That could be a belief, right? It could be the men in my company don't listen to me because they think I'm not qualified. Whatever. I want you to write it down. Okay. You could put it in the chat. Okay. There is always someone better. Thank you so much for being transparent. I really love the transparency. Honestly, I really love how open everyone is today, because that's how we grow, is have real conversations, no fluff conversations, right? Real conversations. How do we feel? What's going on the inside? How do we make a change, right? I'm not good enough, okay? I'm unable to do things. I don't have the right? Yes, I don't deserve. I'm not taken seriously. I don't fit it. Yes, I shouldn't make weight. Yes. These are all, okay, so these are your beliefs, right? This is the limiting belief that's getting in the way of you moving forward. That's the first B. What is the belief, okay? The second B, what is the backstory? What is the backstory of that belief? Because the reality is this: every single belief you have is an accumulation of your childhood, society, your past experiences, relationships that you've had, past leaders. How many of us have children or were a child at one point? Gotcha. All of us, right? Now think about children. Think about when you were a child. You just bounce off the wall. You do anything you want. Children do whatever they want. They touch things, they jump off the wall, they're unstoppable. And it's not until they get a little bit older, or it's not until a parent says, no, you can't do that, right? Or a teacher says, who says you're good enough for that? Or a friend says, no, I don't like you because of that. And then over time, all of these beliefs start to form who we are. And before we realize it, we are now 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. And all of those beliefs that were put onto you by everybody that you've met in your life are now in your backpack. and you are walking around with this huge backpack full of rocks that don't belong to you, that are holding you down. The backpack is too heavy. It's holding you down and it's pulling you back, right? And half of those rocks don't belong to you. So now we need to figure out what the backstory is so that we can take one rock out at a time and lighten the backpack so that you can move further faster and get to where you want to be. So that's the second B, okay, is the backstory. The first B is what's the belief? And now I want you to understand what's the backstory. Did it come from your parents? Specifically, this one belief that you wrote down. Did your last leader say this to you? Were you in a relationship and the partner cheated on you or did something and made you feel like you weren't worthy and deserving enough? Okay, so I want you to really try to trace back what is the backstory. Okay, now the third B. Okay, the third B. What is the behavior that it is causing in you? You see, I can walk into a room and I can look at individuals and I know right away how they feel about themselves because of the way they behave, by the way they shake my hand, by the way they look at me, if they smile, right? By the way they write an email. You see, your beliefs drive your behaviors, okay? Right? And we see this in the workplace. Everything that our teammates are doing, our executives, our leaders, whatever's happening, these are all behaviors, okay? Behaviors are driven by beliefs. So now I want you to ask yourself, what's the behavior that it's causing in you? What's the behavior that it's causing in you? And do you want that behavior to occur? Is the behavior that you don't raise your hand in a meeting, right? Because you think that they think that you're not good enough or that you're going to ask a dumb question? Is the behavior that you don't walk into your boss's office and express how you feel? Is the behavior that you don't apply for the job, even though you're probably very qualified because you're worried about failing? What is the behavior that it's causing in you? And then the last B is the breaking. How do we break? How do we break the belief so that we can shift the behavior? How do we break the belief so that we can shift the behavior? The last B is breaking. So you have what's the belief? What's the backstory? Okay. What's the behavior? And how do we break it? How do we break it? Okay. This strategy is the 4 B's to believing in you. That anytime you are getting in your way, anytime a thought comes into your mind, you pull out this strategy, you do it in your phone. I don't care where you do it. And you write this down and you go through it. Listen, everybody has negative thoughts, everyone, including me. And I teach this for a living. I wrote a book on it. But it's not about having negative thoughts. It's about whether or not you can break those negative thoughts and manage those negative thoughts so it doesn't sabotage your success. I always say so that it serves you instead of sabotages you, right? I always say it's okay to let fear get in the car, but don't let that sucker take the wheel, right? Because the second it takes the wheel, it's going to drive you into a wall or it's going to make a U-turn into a direction that you don't want to go into, right? Right? So have the thought, have the negative belief, and instantly counterbalance it. Think about it. If you were walking down the street and somebody came up to you and said, you're not good enough, are you just going to say, okay? No, you're probably going to say to that individual, who are you? Who are you talking to? You don't even know me. Right? Let's be real. If somebody was walking down the street and they came up to you and they said, you're not good enough, you don't deserve, you're probably going to say something back. But we don't do that with ourselves. We beat ourselves up every single day and we hold ourselves back every single day. And we don't even question ourselves. We just believe it, right? I want you to question your thought like you question a politician. I want you to question the thoughts in your mind like the way you question everything else that you see on social media, because half of those thoughts in your mind, okay, are not true. And we need to manage them and break them so that we can move forward. That's the 4 B's. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want to do a little bit of coaching. Okay. So I'm going to take 1 or 2 people, raise your hand. You're going to ask me a question and we're going to do a little bit of coaching. And we're going to take a small break and we're going to bring on our keynote speaker for the day, who is amazing. Okay. So raise your hand. If you raise your hand, then I can unmute you. Okay. So I see a couple hands raised. So if you raise your hand, I can unmute you and then I can bring you on so that you can ask your question because I like to hear your voice. I don't want you to just type it. All right, Catherine, I see that your hand is raised. So I am going to allow you to talk. Are you there, Catherine? Catherine Adams.
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, let's give it up for Catherine. Thank you for being brave, Catherine.
Yes, I'm excited.
Great. All right, ask away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, gosh, I don't know where to start.
Okay, anywhere. Where are you from, Catherine?
So I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. Beautiful. Great.
And just, you know, I've been in my career for a long time, 30 plus years. And I just think that over the years we battle and we, as women, we join the race and we fight hard, but I think there's a moment where you get tired. And then if you don't have that positive reinforcement, I think, you know, the 4 B's just blew me away. I'll be honest. I'm still kind of like, oh my gosh, if I'd only had these like 20 years ago. But anyway, I just think, you know, how do we stay in it, stay relevant, keep the energy, you know, when you don't have the support, when you get tired, I guess.
It's a really good question. And that's another C that I'm going to address a little bit later. But what I do, and Catherine, thank you so much for your question. And I really appreciate you being the first to raise your hand and to be courageous enough to ask. So yeah, you know, when Edwina talked about values earlier, and I talked about setting healthy boundaries, I think that's very, very important to prevent exactly what you're saying, like getting tired, reaching burnout. You know, women deal with a lot, right? We are providers in the home. We take care of the kids. Research shows that if there's a family member that's sick, we're usually the one that tends to them, you know, and every other day, things that we're dealing with in life. And if we don't have values set in place, okay, and again, I'm going to do this exercise a little bit later, which says to me, this is exactly what I want in my life right now, then what happens is that we let everything in, good and bad, everything, right? When you create a set of values and when you get clear on what you want in life, no becomes very easy to say, right? And I had to realize this when I started building my business, is I had to sit down and do this exercise, which again, I'm going to teach a little bit later. So when things came my way that didn't fit that, it was very easy for me to say no, because I had to protect my energy, because I knew that I would get burnt out. I would get tired. It would be very difficult for me. And so we talk about energy crushers, right? And energy, things that consume your energy.
Right.
People, okay? People consume your energy, okay? Food consumes your energy. Social media, these things all consume your energy. And if we're not conscious about this in our journey to success and in our journey to being our best self, then all of those things are going to chip away from us. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, and we're going to do a strategy on it. But one strategy is understanding what your values are and your non-negotiables. Your non-negotiables are, I am not going to jeopardize these things in any way, shape, or form. And if something comes along that does, it's a no. It's a no, and I'm not going to do it. Okay. It could be in your career, whatever it is. Some of us have really clear non-negotiables, but we stay in a job and in a career that's breaking that non-negotiable anyway, just because we need the money. But no, you got to make a change. You got to find another job, build a business, do whatever you do. You got to make a shift so that doesn't continue to infringe on you. Because the more we let things into us that don't make us feel good, the more we diminish our self-confidence because we no longer trust ourselves. Okay. And the other thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit later is counsel. Having a council of people that are around you, that are on the same wavelength, that are like-minded. That's why I like this forum. That's why I like doing this with thousands of individuals that have signed up, because you are with women that want to grow, that want to learn, that want to support one another. And the reality is, and it's the harsh truth, unfortunately, not everybody wants you to succeed. Okay. And there's a lot of people that are going through their own stuff. And remember what I said, beliefs drive behaviors. So when people are behaving poorly to you or they're not seeing your worth, that's their belief and they got to work that out. But that doesn't mean you need to take it. Okay, I hope
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Catherine. All right, let's go on. We have time for one more question. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. Okay, I see Megan. The next person that's in line is Raphaela. And I hope I'm saying that right. Let me allow you to talk. Raphael, are you there? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Tell us where you're coming from, Raphaela.
I'm Brazilian, but I live in the UK. I'm in Bristol, UK right now.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining us, Raphael. Tell us your question.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm coming back from maternity leave after a year. I'm an apprentice at the end of my contract, and I don't have the opportunity to grow inside my business. I was a photographer for 10 years, and I feel stuck that I don't know what to do. I think that's the question is what to do when we don't know what to do.
That's a really good question. Okay, let's get clarity on this, okay? I'm going to challenge you a little bit. Is that okay?
Yes, go for it.
I'm going to say, because this is normally what happens, is that you do know what to do, okay? But your mind is trying to trick you and make you feel like you're not going to be able to do it, okay? So if I were to ask you right now, Raphaela, like, what's your ideal situation for you? What is it? Like, in a perfect world, if you didn't have to worry about anything, what would you want to do?
I would open my business.
Okay, great. And what would it be? The photography business?
Probably.
Okay, you would open a photography business. Great. So we all heard it, right? Every one of us? Like, that is the ideal world, is that Raphaela opens her photography business. Yeah. Now tell me why we're not moving forward towards that.
Because I need stability. And I'm so afraid of failing because I felt I failed in Brazil as a photographer. I was good, but I felt I failed because I didn't have enough money. And I moved to the UK and got a job that pays my bills.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Now, is it that you failed in photography, or is it, like a scientist, that we needed to do a little bit more research to figure out the right strategy to build the business?
Oh, you're so clever. That's it.
Thank you. Right? So, yeah. But the belief is that you failed in photography. And so now, even though this is what you really want to do, you're afraid to do it because the belief is that I'm a failure. I failed. But what if we change that belief and we switch the narrative to say, no, I didn't fail. My strategy just wasn't the right strategy. Okay. So now what if I did a little bit of research? What if I got a coach in business? What if I joined a business program for a small fee and learned the right strategy to build my photography business? And then you go and you do amazing work.
Yes. Hell yes.
Yes. I love that. And you know what? And I'm going to share again a little bit later. There's a bunch of strategies I'm going to give you, and you can apply them for business. Okay. So take that strategy and start mapping it out. It's called the what, the why, and the how. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later.